to the swords hitting. And I just jacked the background up. And we're just going to deal with it. We are going to have this going on today, everyone. Because, well, the internet hates me and things happened and stuff happened. After I restarted my computer, OBS went, you know all that stuff you just did? Don't worry about it. Damn it. So, we're going to talk about things, maybe even stuff.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to talk about this delicious pot distilled moonshine that I'm going to pour a second glass of.
I'm probably going to put I'm going to put this cocaine bear just right next to me here, just in case. Sometimes you gotta lie.
Spent more time researching cocaine bear this week than I'd like to admit.
So, you know what? I'm starting with cocaine bear. Screw it. Dude, I did not know that this took place over like some serious time, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that bear went buck wild for a while.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not only that, I mean, I vaguely remember it from when I was a kid in the 80s. And after reading up on it, it was like, yeah, they just abandoned some cocaine out a window out of a plane. A bear just chowed down.
Just went fantastic. Ape shit on it. I love everything about that.
I mean, anytime you can get cocaine and a bear together, it just sounds like a good time.
It is.
Sounds like a good Vegas stage act.
Here's the thing that I'm going to go. This might be unpopular opinion, but Phase 4 for Marvel has kind of sucked so far.
You're not wrong.
They're not fun. You know what I mean? It's just... Yeah,
I mean, like, it's bad when the best movie out of it was a comedy.
The series even weren't fun. You know what I mean? So it's just... And that's what I'm coming to expect hit or misses in movies, to be honest. You know what I mean? To be fair, I just now assume that movies are going to let me down. So basically...
Well, out of this Marvel thing, what was your favorite so far?
Now I have to look back. What was all involved in Phase 3? Or Phase 4, sorry.
Let's see. So in the movie side of things, Thor, Love and Thunder.
Disappointing.
It was a good comedy.
It was just okay. You know what I mean? It did what Ragnarok was amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Black Widow's considered Phase 4.
Yep.
Black Widow was completely watchable. I got a list now of it. Haven't watched Black Panther yet, the Wakanda Forever.
I have not watched that.
Doctor Strange.
I've heard that it's really good.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness wasn't bad, but it was one of those movies that could have been so much more, I guess, which is why.
Absolutely, as an old time comic book nerd, they could have done a lot more.
Yes, it's just, and that's also one where I know they wanted a big stage it. You have a big name actor, but like, wasn't that something that like felt like it would have been a better series?
Yes.
There's so many ideas in there that I felt like they could have paced it. I felt like they were just going fast in 100 directions as opposed to being awesome in any one.
I think a like 12 to 16 episode miniseries would have made that better.
The same. Well, if you want to hear about reading down the list, holy God, if there was something that needed to be not a movie, Eternals.
Oh God, that was bad.
Jeez, but it could have been a series. It was bad because you had 11 characters and you were like, hey, we were going to give this guy backstory, but we don't have time. So
didn't they do Eternals as like a ABC series for like a very short period?
I thought so. That's what I was remembering on now. I have to look that one. That's true. John's like, I missed movies that were unique and then saw Bullet Train and everything all. Well, yeah. Bullet Train. I literally just watched Bullet Train this morning. Britt gets up significantly earlier than me, and I just got up and I watch random crap, and then I usually stumble around for a while. So, but I watched that today, and that was funny in of itself, but it was doing stuff. Shang-Chi was, again, felt like, holy crap.
That was it was a good movie. It just didn't feel like it fit currently into the genre.
It should have been a TV show. Let's go into the TV. Let's go into the TVs. So we had WandaVision, which I actually liked. It had ups and downs.
If you took the first 3 episodes and were able to make your way through it, then it became a good show.
The first 3 episodes were, you had to watch this as a binge. If you watch this episode by episode, you basically just mic dropped. You were like, okay, I'm 3 episodes in. Fuck this. You know what I mean? Nothing's happening. They're just blah. But if you watch the whole thing, it had some good things. If you basically binge watch the whole thing, it was good. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, meh.
It was all right. That was much more of a political statement than it was a series.
I don't like that. I want fun. I don't care about your politics. That's what that's a little bit of the issue right now I have with Phase 4 is they keep trying to make social statements. I don't want social statements. I want fun. I'm watching superhero. I'm watching comic book characters. I don't need your politics.
Don't get me wrong. For eons, comic books have been social statements. But they've been fun social statements where they've done a good job of integrating that into the story. And it was poignant, but it was secondary to the action of the thing.
100%.
Where now it feels like right in your face, here's your social story. Here's your social story again.
Yeah, I just don't care. I don't care about anybody's politics, let alone want to hear about them. Boring.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I did like Moonlight. I like Moon Knight.
I enjoyed Moon Knight. It was okay.
It again, ups and downs, but I did enjoy it a lot more than a lot of the others. Loki. I like Loki.
Loki was fantastic.
Loki was the high point, I think. Actually, out of all of these, I think Loki's probably the best.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Loki is by far the best.
Hawkeye was like a goofy Christmas special, basically. It had a couple funny parts, but in all, it felt like the Star Wars Christmas special.
I enjoyed Hawkeye. I think the part that I enjoyed was that they helped develop a character to get to the next story.
It was fine.
The part that I enjoyed about it.
I watched the whole thing. It wasn't like off. Is this a real thing? John goes, if you watch the original movies like Aladdin, they have an apology for the movie now. Why? Why the fuck do you need an apology? Also, why is everybody so butthurt about everything? God damn it.
Well, we, as a society, we've done a lot of bad things over the years. So now we feel like every time that there was something in the past that wasn't quite right, we need to apologize for.
Why? Words are words, man. Move on with your life. Jesus Christ.
Because people take things way too personally. I mean, that's actually something I wanted to touch on, even in out of context of this in the Warhammer community. It's like a lot of times I've noticed this as a judge. Now, because I see a lot of games, I watch a lot of events, I see a lot of player interactions after games. Why is it that when somebody loses, not the first thing of, hey, I could have played a better game or my opponent was fantastic. The first thing is, he must have cheated.
Yeah, I hate that a lot, to be honest.
And the unfortunateness of that happening in the community is a lot of people say it stems from a thing that happened just after the pandemic with a player. Where someone got caught cheating and he was a good player and he was doing really well. And I'm not mentioning names because I don't see the point. And it's become more prevalent than I've ever seen it before. And I've been playing this game I've been around the competitive scene for over 20 years. I now see this at the end of every game in a group of like 6 guys sitting around. At least one person goes, my opponent must have cheated because, he kicked my ass, and not
figure out how you lost, man. That's the whole reason you grow as a player and as a person.
As a person more than anything else. Like my biggest thing is, man, I lost that because I completely screwed up in deployment.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, like we were doing it at just the tournament I was just at. Speaking of that, I want to show you this. Did I pull this up for you? Let me see. Make sure it's actually in the thing. I won the War Master for Triple C, and he gave away these are like glass plaques. Really, really cool. And then, of course, I got a golden set of dice. Hold, please. But I just want to give him props because it was just really novel prices. But the thing that we were talking about after the games we were playing, I played Scout my last game, and he was just like, we got to a point in the game where he's just looking and he goes, all right, so you're going to basically win this slightly. You know what I mean? At least no matter what here, because he made a mistake in his deployment. And we went, let's talk about this. And I'm like, I'll trade you cardiology knowledge for 40K coaching knowledge. And we were talking about it. And there's such a big deal with the fact that I always say it as a joke, but like I always say, you can deploy, can't deploy to win, but you can deploy not to lose. And it's such a huge thing to realize, though, what you've done. And I did this today in coaching. I did it at the tournament. I did that. I was coaching a guy. And he made a mistake in his first turn move. And that first turn move basically is now snowballing in a game. He's in a league in TTS. And that first turn move is basically just snowballing into a dumpster. He moved some stuff up, and because of that, those things got charged that shouldn't have gotten charged, and all of a sudden his opponent's in his face, and he lost some things that he didn't need to lose. And the thing is that when you're playing, you have to be able to identify that part, that moment in the game where you made a movement mistake or you made a target priority mistake. There's always something that you could have done differently, and you have to realize what that was that led. Because after the game continues on, shit starts to go bad. And then like you notice the dice and everything else, and you're like, yeah, but like, did you need to be in that spot? Is most of the time what you talk about. You know what I mean? Like, did I need to get charged here? You know, I talk that Minnick story all the time when we were playing in Michigan, and he made an 11-inch charge, and I failed 23 of 24 saves. And you're like, oh man, dice shut you down. You're like, not actually though, because I was just too lazy and didn't screen him out with a unit that I could have just moved 3 extra inches and just moved. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's the thing is that's how you get better, period, is just fucking learning. Paul says it right. He goes, I've learned more from losing than winning. I actually mostly learn from losing, to be honest. That's when because dude, I can't remember 99% of my wins. I remember my losses, and then I don't do that thing how I lost. Also, I'd like to point out, been playing my game sober. This game is so easy if you're not drinking.
So one of the things I can always say is, like, I watched a very competitive game between 2 really good players recently. Player A had an L with a couple units of flamers behind it, and you know he's playing the T-Sun Flamer list, the Zinch thing that's going on right now, but he's playing against double Flyrant, and double Flyrant can be really nasty for that list. And in that case, he was like, all right, how do I make in his head, and you know, I can see him thinking this, how can I make my opponent screw up with that one of those flying Hive Tyrants? The guy flew up a Hive Tyrant, and because he screened out with just 1 unit of Zangors or Cultists or whatever it was, trash unit. And he killed it, and the guy didn't have enough CP to overrun and fall back behind things. And then legitimately he was like, oh crap, there's flamers behind that building. Needless to say, 2 units of 5 flamers each come out, burn the tyrant off the board
into another dimension.
A key unit. Yeah. And it was absolutely like one of those things of, yep, he baited him in, brought it in, and counter punched that. Now, granted, if the guy had CP, would that have worked? Probably not, but he screened in his turn knowing that there wasn't going to be enough CP for him to do everything he needed to do. Because when you're running double flyer, and if you bring 2 screens up and you set up for, either A, the Terminators are going to crush this unit, or B, the Flamers are going to crush the other one, you can set yourself up well. It was just one of those nice plays that, as a judge, I got to see going on. And as a player, at the same time of seeing it going on, going, all right, that was where you had to make a choice of, if I do A or B, I'm going to lose something. What's the best play?
It's such a
And the
big.
guy chose poorly for both.
Well, it's funny because like one of the things about screening out with the Flyrant is I often say is a small change in your movement makes a huge deal because the Flyrant's going to get some stuff. The problem is that you need to make it is the overrun. Make the overrun such that he can't fly behind the cover. He can't get where he wants to be. And that comes from taking objectives and making your models basically, again, pre-measure. I think I've said that once or twice. But but man, if he can't fly back to somewhere, most of the tournament players aren't even going to charge things unless they're getting like a super high value thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But most of the time, they're gonna not go there because if they go 17 inches and you're just standing on a piece of terrain and those flamers, that whatever is right there and just goes lock and load, fellas. We got a big bug to kill. Yep. It's such a big difference. You're like, but he can go 25 inches and crack in and he can do this. You're like, yeah, but he overruns 17. So if he has to basically do a backflip and he's just standing in front of your army doing a little song and dance going, hey, how's it going, guys? You're like, I'll let you kill pretty much any one thing if I get to kill the tyrant the next turn. That's a big deal, man.
I mean, and so Paul put a point in there of he used to get super angry when playing, and now he sees the fun in losing. That's actually one of the things that's probably the toughest for people who really want to win and are competitive is to, when you lose, not be salty. And as someone who, many, many moons ago used to have that issue, and I'm talking, I had that problem 20 years ago. Now I could care less. But it is one of the things that is hard for people to do. You have to accept the losses and go, okay, I lost the game. It was fun. I enjoyed the guy. I enjoyed the time. I'm here to have a good time anyways. I'm just pushing toy soldiers around. To honestly learn from your mistakes that you made in the game is that next step that the really good players take. And it's something that is tough to do. It's a tough trait to get past because most people want to win every game. And you do get disappointed when you lose. There's many, many people who I have seen who are, top tier players that when they lose a game, just give up and walk away and are just done and angry and bitter the rest of the time.
Just silly. And the thing is like what I try to do with it, and I've lost games, I'll lose a bunch more games. You know what I mean? But the big thing about that is continue to have fun, continue to play. And so I don't like when people drop also. That's a big deal for me. Stop dropping from tournaments. But one of the big things I always go to is anytime you're upset about a game, not about a person, so a person could wrong you, but I'm saying about a 40K game. Everything was fine, you just didn't win the game. Imagine telling someone that doesn't play 40K about what happened. So you have to start the story with, I was playing with another adult with my toy soldiers, and here's why I'm upset. And then watch them go, I never want to talk to you ever again. Yeah. So all of those things is a big deal at that point in time. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Campaigns, Crusades. Dude, I used to run so many big games with crazy rules and shit like that. I love that stuff. I will stand by my meltdown in Maryland, Brad, for a while. So I mean, at least you didn't die.
We're actually running a crusade here in Syracuse at the art store starting in January. The first crusade, and we've, through years of running campaigns and crusades, we've decided that 6 weeks is about the most anyone can handle. And it's nice because running crusade, you get to do some stuff that you normally wouldn't do in a competitive game of 40K. And although lots of players are competitive and enjoy match play, and I have no problem with it as someone who judges it, plays it, and loves it, Crusades is just kind of fun because you can do some silly things, and especially with some of the requisition points and everything else that you can do, 40K is a fun game. Almost 80% of the games that are played are not played on a competitive level. And what do I mean by that is yes, there's tournaments, there's all the events and everything that goes on, but there's a lot of basement hammer, garage hammer that happen, that a lot of the podcasts, the live streams and everything else just ignore. There's a group here in Syracuse of 6 guys that play every week at a dude's basement, and all they do is crusade. They've been doing one. They started in January. Their culmination is going to be a 10,000 point per player apocalypse game where they're just going to go nuts and have fun. And they were like, hey, do you want to come help, do stuff? And I'm like, absolutely. You guys are going to be, putting down, like, one of the guys is like, oh, I'm bringing 2 Phantom Titans. And I'm like, I got to be there for this. It's fun.
It's funny because the GWs told me one time, I won't name any names, in a drunken Adepticon moment, one of the guys went, we make so little. You guys are such a tiny nothing of what we sell, the competitive 40K tournament scene. He's like, but we have to pay attention because you guys drive what people think of the game. So we have to pay attention to it just because of that. The actual reason, like, for instance, the reason why the board is now smaller is because that was the average kitchen table size. And that's what they want. An regular table, bam, let's play a game of 40K. That's what they wanted. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, is the smaller board more competitive? Well, maybe. But what they wanted was, I was
talking with someone who works for GW about the board side, and they were like, we measured the average table sold in London. And that's what they came up with, was the average dining room table.
Yeah. And
that's why that's that size.
And that's more than 80% of their sales come from that. You know what I mean? More people are like exactly what you're saying. They're playing in the basement. They're playing in the dining room. They're playing whatever. And they're super excited about it. And the thing is that's why we're moving on. I mean, like, we're in the infancy of doing this, everyone. We will be pushing more as we continue. But that's why I'm going to start doing the lore and stuff like that, Cass, because people are excited about that shit.
So as someone who runs a store that is a art store and carries Warhammer stuff, let me put it first and foremost. The place I work for, they are an art store. They got into Warhammer because they went to a trade show, Games Workshop was there, and they went, oh, there's paint. And they legitimately went, we can sell small pots of paint. And then they lucked into the, hey, we sell on Amazon, games sell on Amazon, and they needed a human that actually knew the game and who could help them not fuck up their orders and order way too much of, terrible things and order more of good things. So that's why I'm there. And they have a woman who is now I'm not kidding, a regular $100+ a week salesperson. She is an artist. She likes painting busts and miniatures. She used to paint model cars. She came in. She was like, oh, I've never painted anything Warhammer. And I went, oh, you should try it. I gave her a push fit Space Marine and a push fit Stormcast Eternal out of one of the 800 starter box sets. And she came back in a week later and went, that was fun. Look what I painted. And then I gave her some advice about a wet palette and how to thin her paints and stuff like that. And now she buys a model, paints it. If she likes it, she puts it in her storage case. If she doesn't like the paint job, she throws it on eBay and sells it, and then buys another model with the money. And we have a plethora of people that don't play the game that just buy and paint models.
100%. Dude, there's people that have giant collections that don't play or play very little. And I love everything about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why there's also people at different levels of everything, man. So you want everybody to have a good time, period. That's why we talked about different tournaments and stuff too. I'm doing a series. I've also found us an editor.
Nice.
John. Also, Josh, screw you for not telling me about John. But I'm sending him a bunch of stuff about this weekend because this week was a dumpster fire, but we won't talk about that. I was looking to put together tournament videos and stuff like that because I feel like a lot of very casual people that are into 40K get a bad view of what a tournament's about. Oh, it's this super competitive, hardcore, only people trying to win. And you're like, actually, it's just people drinking and wandering around, talking shit and telling stories. That's what a tournament's all about. You're like, what? We were talking about the Adepticon last year, and I go, I don't remember any of my games. I won the team tournament at Adepticon. I still don't remember the games. You know what I remember? All the dumb shit we were doing in the middle of and everything else. And Brant with his guitar and 3 a.m. playing songs, just screwing around. Those are all the things I remember.
For me, I enjoy judging. I will always say this, because I get to spend more time with the camaraderie and talking with everybody and just seeing every player in the field. I don't care if you're John Lennon or Jim Johnson, who's never done anything in an event ever except go 0-5. I enjoy spending time with every person at the event. I like when everyone comes up to me and goes, hey, here's my cool new model that I put together and painted for this. And I get to spend, even if it's just 30 seconds with you going, man, that's freaking cool. I love it. It's what I enjoy. After the event, going up to Jason Lippert, who was the head judge of Adepticon last year. I don't think he is this year, if I'm not mistaken. And we sat around and he gave me this local gin from, up in his local area. That's the best gin I've ever had in my life because I'm not a gin drinker. And I was just like, oh, this is fantastic. And then Mike Brandt walked in with, I think it was Zach and a couple of the other guys from GW. And we played songs and sang and drank and just shot the shit about miscellaneous stuff. I think we didn't even speak one word about 40K or gaming or anything. We were just talking about life in general. And it was fantastic. And that's what the tournament experience is. Yes, you go, you play games, you have that experience of playing the games, you push around toy soldiers, but in between rounds, in between games, and at night, you get to hang out with people who have a like-minded, similar experience to you and just enjoy life.
Hence the reason we did this on Thursday. I want to talk about whatever. It was funny because we were bringing it up, and I go, yeah, it's weird, man. You never would have guessed it that a bunch of 40K players are into sci-fi and fantasy. What? What? That's crazy.
And that we like drinking.
Yeah. Also, yes. They were throwing things at me. Sam threw some shit at me because I go, playing 40K sober is like cheating. This is so easy. And he's just like, shut up, you idiot.
Well, it's like, that was one of the things, like, I don't know, did you get the scorecard from Breton yet?
Yeah, he hasn't given it to me. He hasn't. He forgot to give it to me.
So, it legitimately, like, after we were chatting and we were just joking around, and I'm like, yeah, someone needs to give Brad like a drink counter on the back of his scorecard so A, he keeps score, and B, he can keep track of how many drinks he had so he doesn't get blackout drunk in the second round. And somebody was like, yeah, we'll put like 2 boxes on it so he has 2 glasses of wine around. And I'm like, are you sure there shouldn't just be one big box that says 1 bottle? Because I'm sure he can handle 1 bottle around. It's when we get to 5 bottles in 2 rounds that it's an issue.
I am now straight just not drinking during the tournament. The last dice are down, then I start drinking now. My new rule. So it goes well with my morning medicines, to be honest.
That's fair.
I'm taking too many things.
Yeah, it's bad when you go, all right, so there's 9 in the pill box. Am I supposed to take 9 in the morning? Is that how many it's supposed to be?
The broken down old man show. That's what we're here for, everyone.
Yeah. 2 guys with health problems and play miniatures. That's what we do.
You did. You guys basically buried my drinking habits. When I had to listen to me going, so here's the deal. I knew you were a little too drunk when every time I killed one of your models, you picked one of my models up and put it on your tray and then looked at me confused and also looked super excited every time you found termagants. So
that's fantastic. Steve said, did Du Bois kill Brad's drinking habits? I don't think it killed him. It just slowed them down until at night he's going to try and keep up with me.
I've learned my lesson.
No, let's see. The next event we're together is LVO. right? You're going to get buried at LVO.
Oh, Jesus. This is going to be terrible. Lyle, so what you're saying is we're going to see an Avengers-style reunion scene in the not-too-distant future between Chad Brester and Thomas Togden? 100%. And the thing is that I get it. And the problem is that, to be fair, I take a bunch of stuff that reacts to alcohol. So sometimes I feel completely fine, and then all of a sudden I'm drunk. You know what I mean? Depending on what the hell I took. So it's just easier. I can be a drunken mess after. I don't want to mess with people. And I generally give a shit about people's tournament experience. Yep. So I don't want people to not have fun. I always want people to have fun. Win, lose, or draw. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that I'm having a great time. Winning or losing, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to lose, but like after you get over the fact that it's disappointing to lose, you know what I mean? Losing are the best stories because you can talk about, I didn't make any saves. I made this total idiot move when I was just standing there with my dick in the wind and hoping for the best. You know, those are fun. Those are the stories that you tell later. I don't talk about 90% of my wins.
And Paul talks about a bong hammer event. Paul, at a lot of the events lately, there's been, because weed's legal so many places now, there are edibles that float around because, you know, you don't like to walk into a cloud all the time. Absolutely, like, not gonna lie, Scott gave me some cookies at Du Bois that my back was killing me. I was having a lot of muscle spasms. Scott gave me 2 cookies at Du Bois. I ate 2 cookies, and I swear to God that I'm sure my back was still spasming and still hurt, but I didn't notice.
You can't accept stuff from Scott. He's got such a ridiculous tolerance now. You're like, what did you just give me? Oh, I'm usually fine when I take this. You're like, but I'm not you. This seems like something that I'm gonna. My wife. Oh, not only is the queen of loving weed, also works at a dispensary. We have 1 billion types of weed in my house. And I have, hold on, things for Brad because he has lots of problems with his old noggin. I have to tell her, she's like, well, you should just take stuff. You're not feeling good. I go, baby, I have to do a lot of stuff in the public eye. And while you can walk around like she's completely unfazed, I start taking edibles and I start going, are you trying to be a zombie right now? No, in my mind, I'm very eloquent with my speech.
Well, it's like my wife, who is very straight-laced for the most part, and this summer when weed became legal for the first time ever, she was like, oh, you know, I might try an edible. And she tried like Sour Patch Kids. And of course, my wife, like you, Brad, loves wine. I mean, she does like at-home wine parties, which is fantastic. And she did some Sour Patch gummies like out by a campfire, and she just kind of completely mellowed out and was just sitting there. And all of a sudden I was like, how you doing, honey? She was like, good. I don't feel anything. And I'm like, you're really quiet. She was like, but I don't feel anything.
You've heard.
I was just like, and hi.
I told you my accidental devastation story, have I not, with edibles?
Maybe, but refresh our memory.
So I get super bad epic migraines all the time. So I'm at the house and I have a migraine so bad I just can't function. And I look over and I'm like, I'm just eating some junk food. I feel terrible. I'm just eating this. There's a little bag of cookies here. So I face tank the little bag of cookies and things go down. I don't realize that's just a bag of edibles for cookies. I also don't partake hardly at all. I am in another dimension of messed up. And I just think I'm dying because I can't figure out what's happening. I'm like, my God, this migraine is going into different levels. I can't understand reality right now. I don't know what's happening. I told Britt, it's in the middle of the night, I go, honey, if you need me to do anything, tell me now, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to die. I'm really serious. I'm definitely going to die tonight, but I'll take care of whatever I need to take care of. So apparently on my deathbed, I'm very polite. I'm going to die. So I'm just super out of it. And she thinks it's the most hilarious thing in the universe because I'm just like, where am I? Take an objective, get a bag of chips. Nice. I said, basically, you play edible gummy hammer. Every time a model dies that's made of gummies, you have to take it. I feel that we would get through one round and then the entire tournament would just be sitting on the ground, just hey.
Not gonna lie, if you make lunch a taco truck for that,
Oh,
greatest event ever.
so good. What's your top events that aren't run by you? They can be little events.
So top events that aren't run by me, I really like. There's an event down in Erie, PA, called War at the Shores. It's a little small event, not super competitive. They don't have the greatest terrain in the world, but they have every map for every table has like, this is our terrain. These are the rules for the map. I really enjoy the event. Chris Werner runs it. Absolutely fantastic event. Tons of fun. And I really like the Can Hammer Teams tournament.
I'm going there this year.
That's probably one of the events that I've been to where I've had the absolute most fun ever.
I was just thinking about this because I went to the Triple C over the weekend and, had been at Du Bois, 2 weeks before then? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about what size of event I like. And I like the big events, don't get me wrong, but those are like my competitive scenes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I like playing in 50 to 80 people. I think our RTTs are RTTs, but it's like different. It's like that size is super manageable usually. So you get less issues and whoever's running it can kind of give like a really personal touch on the event as opposed to when you get 150 plus kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where you don't get to basically be around. It's like going to a small restaurant versus a big restaurant. You know what I mean? The owner's dipping into every table at a small cafe type thing. I like those size events. And I like the idea of different events having different. I wish everybody was using the same FAQ for everything, but different style at different events. Because you remember we used to go to events and each event was known for the thing that they did that was out of the ordinary. This event used Forge World, or this event used some terrain style that was different, or this event had different missions. You can never go down with tacos, brother. If there's tacos at any event, I might be there. You're like PogChamp Champion 2023, Brad Chester. Tacos were involved.
I mean, one of my favorite things that I miss about events, and this is very, very much to the Du Bois sides of things. I miss unique missions. It takes a lot of time as someone who wrote for years specialized missions. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, actual playtesting games, making sure that the quote unquote competitive armies for the time don't abuse the rules, that everyone's fair, because not doing those custom missions is tough because I love them. You have no idea how much time and effort.
Yes, that's the thing though. The community fucking throws people under the bus though. It's like they ask for different things and then you try to do something and they're like, fuck this guy. It wasn't exactly the same as everything else. You're like, yeah, but you asked for something different. Yeah, but it wasn't the different that I wanted. You're like, well, did you help at all? No.
It's like I was helping back when GW had playtesters in the US. I helped playtest some rules that never came out for buildings. And they were like, hey, is there a way you can try these on a competitive scale? And I went, yeah, I run Du Bois and we have lots of buildings for our tables. Let me try your rules out. And I put them out there. We tried them. They didn't work because no one understood how they worked, even though I spent a lot of time explaining them to them. And the people that understood them went, oh, I can abuse the fuck out of that. And let me do so. And once people figured out how to abuse it, it was kind of hilarious to watch them go, I'm going to deploy everybody in this building. And someone go, well, I'm going to shoot the building. And they were like, what do you mean you're going to shoot the building? Well, they have toughnesses and wound values, and I'm going to blow it up. And then people went, they can do that? And I'm like, that's part of a building. And it was fun, it was interesting, but in the competitive side of things, it didn't really work. So it's tough because you want to run a narrative event. Those are great. They're fantastic. All the custom missions work. The minute you say it's a competitive GT for ITC points, you unfortunately have to kind of throw that stuff out the window, which is sad in some ways.
That's the thing is like, especially your tournaments, I was known for it. Du Bois were known for different missions. Decepticon used to be known for different missions before, like way back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they were one of the first tournaments. I mean, this is going way back, everyone. Old man Brad here. But remember that Adepticon was one of the first places that was running. Adepticon and Du Bois were one of the first two tournaments that ran primary, secondary, tertiary. Remember?
Yep, absolutely.
And it was so different than everything else because for a long time we just played victory points, just what you killed, you know. And then you went to these tournaments and you had to actually, I'd have to achieve something. What? So, and that was the precursor of modern day 40K, you know what I mean? Where you weren't just sitting in front of each other, just taking turns Rochambeauing each other and going, now you, But, I mean, the closest thing we had to points was like board quarters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I've been looking at, because I run a lot of events and I do a lot of stuff. I may have a little more leeway than some people because I have a reputation and I have the ability to go, all right, maybe I can pull this off. And maybe that's a little bit of hubris on my behalf, but I'm like, there's a winery in the Finger Lakes region of New York that has a venue that during the winter months doesn't get used. They don't do anything during the summer months, during the fall, tons of stuff. But during the winter months, February, March, April, they don't have any events. And they were like, oh, well, thanks, Ken. Horton has street cred.
What's your street name, Brian? What's your street name?
Yeah, my street name. Yeah, I don't have one.
They call it the knife.
The knife. But I was like, hey, yeah, absolutely. I might be able to pull something off. And I've talked with you about this, about doing a GT that's 100% unique, 100% like, this is not a competitive. This is a narrative event. This is here's the comp, 100% back to, I'm going to harken back to a very old Du Bois style of, hey, in this army, you can only take 0 to 1 of this, so on and so forth kind of rules thing. Or could I pull that off and run that at a winery where winery / distillery, I might add, yes, where this event is specifically narrative and it's designed to be a party.
Yes.
Is that something we can pull off?
Why not?
I think we could.
Also, why, in a serious note, why is there just not more tournaments? And is it just because people balk at anything? We can have comp tournaments without a comp score and just go, hey, this is 01. Hey, we did 01 for planes, for artillery, for this, whatever. You can only have this many whatever you want to do. Who cares? Everybody's under the same umbrella of rules, and it just makes it so it's one more thing that you have to do. List building is, I think it's fun, especially if you have to make a good list with actual restraints on things. Oh, I heard there used to be a tournament in Vegas where everyone got dressed up for fancy Warhammer and drinks. Ooh, you know what? I think I'm going to wear a suit to day 2. LVO.
I don't know. LVO, I'm going to be wearing comfy clothes because we are active judging hardcore. So
well, you got to cover some serious space.
Number one.
I might get a scooter. Beep, beep. I do. The best part about it is, I'm not going to lie, usually it's just tragic for me and how busted I am. But I do love when I'm walking and I'm on day 2 or day 3 of an event and I'm limping so bad because my back's so jacked that someone will just grab my shit for me and they're like, you're upsetting me with how shitty you look. Let me carry some of your stuff. And I'm like, I don't know whether to thank you or be insulted.
Well, it's like during... I'm going to go with one of the best things is during Du Bois, during the raffle, which I hit the level of, hey, Brian's tired, Brian's sore, Brian's having muscle spasms, he's a little grumpy. And I'm just like at the end going, all right, everyone, when you come up here, just take 4 things.
Dude,
Like,
we have to speed up the raffle. Yes, it is so long. I love it, but it is so long. I'm just saying, if you're going to look at things that happen at Du Bois, I heard that there was some people that Lady and the Tramp the banana, and I think that was probably the high point of the event.
It was one of the high points of the event. Every year, Zuber, who's sitting in the chat right now, and every year, Lady and the Tramp, a Tim Hortons Timbits,
nice.
Which is very hard to Lady and the Tramp. And at one point in time, probably 3 years ago, I think it was just before COVID, someone caught a image of us doing that, and they Brokeback Mountain a picture of it. It's somewhere on the internet. It's fantastic.
The best is when he asks me that. It's like, you want a Lady in the Tramp the banana? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
I want to talk. Eddie, you should have seen a couple that I've dressed with my Harlequin costume, and I tried to do it at the Toledo team tournament. I showed up day one, and I was playing Harlequins for the team tournament. So I had the jester hat and that huge deal. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it, that huge clown outfit that I have. And the problem is that, you know, events get hot when everybody's there and squished together. And I got into like game 2 after game 2, and I was like, fuck this. I can't. It was funny, but it's not pass out from exhaustion funny.
Well, that's like, and we all have, as a member of a competitive team, we all have those jerseys, which are the quote unquote water wicking jerseys, which means they don't breathe at all. So by the end of the day one, when you wear that for 3 rounds, even if you wear a t-shirt underneath it, you are swampy as hell. I don't know how people wear all the cosplay stuff. Like at Adepticon, there was a guy this year who wore power armor.
Oh, dude.
All 4 rounds on day one. And I'm just like,
champion.
When you got back to your room and took that off, was it just a stank fest?
Dude, it's funny because one of the traditions at WTC is to trade your jersey, and you traded with one of the teams you played. And I bring jerseys with me, extra jerseys now, so I can just hand my opponent, you know, whoever I trade with, a jersey, like a nice clean jersey. And also I don't have to put on their Swamp Thing jersey. So it makes me happy. What? I need not know about. Sorry, I got distracted by I once played attorney with a swollen face because of a wolf spider bite.
Absolutely. I actually remember that event, Paul. It was fantastic. I give you credit for making it through most of that.
Dude, one of the tournaments, I couldn't believe he was there. So Jack Harpster just shows up at the, I don't know why I was about to say Notre Dame, but yeah, we were at Notre Dame. We were definitely not at Notre Dame. We were in New Orleans, and Jack had just gotten 3 or 4 teeth pulled like the day before with his big chipmunk face. And I'm like, why are you here? And he goes, you've encouraged me to make bad decisions.
I mean, that is kind of our job as the old guys with health issues and all kinds of bad decisions, is to help encourage the younger crowds to make just as bad decisions as we do.
Dude, last LVO was probably top 5 tournament bad decisions. When I had that surgery on my back and immediately went to LVO right afterwards and was having Blake change my bandages between days, which Sniggs' bitch to me was, can you bleed on the floor less? So,
no, at that LVO, while you guys were taking your team photo up on the stage, and you decide, I'm gonna jump off the stage, and I'm like,
gracefully,
Brad, that's a bad idea.
Gracefully, graceful. I was like a soaring bird.
You were not graceful at all. I thought you were almost dead at that point. I'm like, is Brad still alive?
Dude.
You get up, and I'm like, all right, well, he's not
in
dead.
That
should I
me,
call Britt and say that Brad's probably going to need help getting out of the airplane?
The best is I was so trashed. I obliterated my foot and my ankle. So we have lots of time before we're leaving. So I just walk on it for a long time. Get to the airport, get on the plane, sleep on the plane, wake up, and my foot is just a balloon, my foot and my ankle. And I don't remember at first anything that happened. So all I know is my foot's exploded, my ankle's gigantic, and I just start laughing because we're touching down in Detroit. And I go, and look at the Snakes comes up, and I go, I have so many questions about what's going on right now. And I can't stop laughing because my foot hurts so freaking. I broke my foot and sprained my ankle from that jump. And
so, the last day of Adepticon, after going to the after party, and I have a 6 a.m. flight. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, all right, well, the after party's winding down. I have to get a flight. So I grab an Uber, go to the airport, and I run into Jack, Harpster, John Lennon, and a couple of the other guys. And they were like, oh, what plane are you on? And we chit chat for a little bit. And I realized that I have been in the same compression sock, underwear, and everything since 6 o'clock in the morning. And I sit down at the airport and I'm like, what's that smell?
Someone's dying here.
I was like, that's me. And I run into the bathroom and take the whore's bath and just like get some clothes out of my suitcase and kind of change. And I'm like, maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe I should have left the next day.
Dude,
I'm like,
Sparks.
I'm not going to make that mistake.
I told Sparks I didn't want to spend too much on the flight to Europe one year. So he apparently doesn't own a Globe. We had so many random layovers and we flew to so many random places. We were eventually going to go to Rome. We went to Rome via Sweden, then Finland, Finland, then over. And we had a layover. We had this layover in Chicago. We flew literally Detroit, Chicago, layover, somewhere else layover. We flew into Helsinki, then into Stockholm. And it's been like 20 some hours. And I'm in the Stockholm bathroom in front of people, just spraying myself, looking like a crazy person. And I'm just like, I don't care. Just deal with this. And we have another layover, and Sparks sees that I'm so pissed off from just being up for forever. And I'm like, all right, when's our flight? It's our last flight. Basically, we land in Rome, and our plan was literally to land in Rome and immediately start doing stuff. So I've just been 20 some hours of travel, and he literally goes, we've got a layover. Just tries to like kind of wander off as he tells me. We have a 4-hour layover in Stockholm. I'm like, well, I look like I'm going to have to kill Sparks. I'm just going to pop his head off like a dandelion. This is it. Well, this is obviously is the right thing. As I do that, randomly the Swedes just show up behind me and go, hey guys, well, it's crazy you're here. Let's go get a drink. And I'm like, distracted. Oh, all right, let's drink wine and eat shrimp on a sandwich kind of thing. And I'm like, the Swedes saved your life, Sparks. I've been looking
saving lives.
Ah.
As we have done this is our second time going in, and I need to hear the story because it's always fun to me. Saving Nick Nadavati's life seems to be a habit of yours. Can you at least tell one story about that?
I mean, we told him destroying one of Gagne's models last week.
I think now we have to talk about him at WTC getting his life saved.
Didn't we tell that though? Have we told that? There's not enough.
No, I don't think we told that one yet.
We have a small crowd today, so it won't be crazy. So we're in Serbia, and this is 11 years ago. So Nick's literally a baby at this point in time. And Serbia is much scarier than it is right now. It's just gang dudes, a lot of neck tattoos with the same thing. So we go, and it's last day, and we're with Pajama Pants, myself, and a group of others. Nick starts dancing on a girl, and she slaps him. And I'm sitting here, Alan's sitting here, and he's just sitting next to him. These guys start talking to each other. And they had basically said they're going to take Nick outside in the alley and stab him because no one dances on the local girls like that. And Alan comes up and goes, guys. And he speaks every single Eastern Bloc country language. He's from Montenegro. And they're like looking at him all like super grr, and I don't know what's going on. I have to get the whole story back on. Alan explains that Nick is mentally handicapped, and he apologizes. He basically is his handler, and he has to take care of him. And they look at Nick and see him drunkenly go, and just go, well, clearly he is. And they apologize to Alan and tell, we're really sorry you have to take care of him. So Nick being a goof and Alan speaking Serbian saved Nick from getting stabbed in an alley. True story. It was fantastic.
Not gonna lie, the first time I heard that story, I cackled incessantly because I legitimately can picture that with Nick. But the fact that it was in Serbia makes it even funnier to me.
The last meal is still way more my favorite of that. So we have basically a booth and then like a long table. Alan is just hangry as no one's ever been hangry. He's just super pissed that he hasn't got to eat. Everybody else, you know how it is when you're getting a big group. It's like wrangling cats to go somewhere. He's just pissed. He's all the way in the booth. All literally long table, then booth. He's closest to the wall. I'm at the end of the table. He's so like hangry. He gets his giant steak and everything. As soon as they set it down, Nick is sitting next to him, knocks his drink over, and basically buries Alan's steak in liquid. His steak literally just starts rising up on the plate because it's just so much liquid. He jumps down. He literally goes under the table and crawls all the way to where I was. I just handed him my food and go, there you go, buddy. And he's like, I just started eating. It was so funny, dude. I was just like, this is you, big guy. You got it. He was already so pissed. If he had some death ray in his eyes, he would have murdered Nick. He literally has knife and fork in hand, and Nick immediately just dumps an entire like large Coke onto his plate. It was fucking magical. He was just like, no.
So the amount of Nick being drunk stories, I'm sure, is immeasurable at this point. But as the elder statesman of 40K that we are, Nick at the first Atlantic City Open was the only player who left his table in shambles. And as a player as a TO that walks around and cleans up, and I am very much a little bit meticulous at the end of the first day. I go around, I pick up all the drinks, all the cups. I get to Nick's table, and his models are everywhere. It happens sometimes, especially at top tables. Players leave things around. But I mean, like, his entire army's on the table.
I
would add to the top of that.
I would never do something like that.
Yes, you would.
I'm just known.
There are tomato slices.
Do what?
I'm not kidding. There are tomato slices on the table. And I'm like, all right, this is that one step too far. So we take all of Nick's stuff and we put it onto his display board that he has, including every bit of food that's on the table, every glass, everything else. And the next morning, Nick's one of the first people to come into the room, and I call Nick up. Now, I'm old enough to be Nick's dad, so this is probably very much a dad story. And I go, Nick, come here. How do you make your living? And be very specific. It's Nick Nadavati, in case someone's wondering who Nick is. Of Artivore, one of the founders, the main guy, works for GW, does the podcast. So I want to make this very clear who this is. And I go, you make your living doing 40K, right? And he was like, Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, okay. And I said, so if someone came into your home and legitimately just walked up to your bed and shit on your bed, you'd be upset, right? And he went, yeah, I would very be upset, Brian. And I'm like, all right. So what you did is you left a table over here and you shit all over the table. And I was like, and you made one of my judges, which was Steve Zuber, very specific on this. Steve, I'm mentioning you by name so everybody knows who you are. Pick up your models and then pick up your mess. And I said, if you'll notice on top of your Raiders, considering this was the heyday of Drukari, and there's tomatoes stuck through your Raiders. I was like, maybe, just maybe, you would want to be considerate of the other people at the event and pick up your mess. You are the only player who left a mess. It was to the point where I had to point it out, and one of my judges, Steve Zuber, got mad and bitched to me of, hey, this professional Magic player left a mess. And I went, absolutely. And so I'm bitching him out. And I don't know if you remember well enough to that one. We were up on a stage. So I'm talking down to him, like looking over a table while sitting down, looking down at Nick.
You gave him full dad speech?
Oh, giving full dad speech.
Did you in the end go, I'm not even mad, I'm just disappointed?
Absolutely. 100% went, I am disappointed in you. And Nick went, I'm so sorry. Can I buy him a drink? And I said, I don't think a drink is enough.
It's going to have to be a handy. Let's get going.
So, you know, Nick being as nice as he was and as apologetic as he was, went through everything. And I just walk up to him at any point in time right now, and I can just look at him and go, you left tomatoes on the table. And he just hangs his head in shame and goes, I'm so sorry.
Love it. Love everything about it, my friends.
Because don't get me wrong, I'm old enough to be Nick's dad. You're old enough to be Nick's dad. The fact that we can look at these people who are legitimately 40K icons, legends, whatever you want to say, and just say, I remember a time when you were a schmuck is kind of fun.
But the thing is that we've all been there.
Oh. So I don't know if anybody can pull that on me, because when I've gotten so bad that, like, I can remember before I ran Du Bois, there was a time during one of the teams events when I ran singles only and I played in teams that I got so drunk during the first round of the event that I went to the bathroom and my teammate went, where's Brian? And they were like, he's sleeping it off. And they were like, what do you mean? It was like, well, he drank an entire bottle of honey whiskey in the first round. So he's not sure where he is right now.
He's spiritually projecting himself.
It was like, and I came back for the third round and I was like, how we doing? He was like, we did not win the second round because you weren't here. And I went, that's my bad. Sorry about that.
Things happened. Everyone,
I was like, you should not have kept filling my glass.
at this point, it's your fault.
So we were at and telling the Brian drunk stories. We are at Beef and Wing, which is a defunct event now that used to be in Buffalo, New York.
I remember Beef and
one of
Wing.
my buddies, Jeff. I sent him to my room to grab a bottle of scotch because, as most people know, I love scotch. And he officially just kept filling my glass. And I was playing Tyranids, and I was playing board control Tyranids where I just moved out, covered the board, and then didn't do anything the rest of the game. And he just kept standing next to me, filling my glass, filling my glass, filling my glass. And I didn't realize that I had drank 3/4 of a bottle. And I'm not talking like a standard liter bottle. I'm talking like a handle.
Ooh.
I drank 3/4 of a handle of Dewar's White Label Scotch in the matter of an hour and a half, because I was drinking it like it was water. And I stood up from the table and I went, oh, fuck. Thank God it was the third round. I will fully admit to that it was the third round. And my opponent goes, I can't believe you just won this game while you were completely inebriated. And I'm like, what do you mean? We were playing the game and we were going back and forth. And he was like, no, no, no. He goes, at one point, you just won the game and just sat there and went, how you doing? And I was like, no. And he was like, yes, you did. And I'm like, oh.
I I told you about the Sunken City where I woke back up to the tournament in my round 3 game, and I literally looked at my opponent and I go, all right, man, it's time to start playing some 40K. And he looks at me super confused and goes, it's round 3, man. And I play, and I ended up killing a ton of his models, and I pull out the win. And later on, he's talking to Kramer in the robe, and I go, he's like, yeah, man, turns 1 and 2, I really thought I was crushing him. And then he must have been luring me in because he just really popped out and did all these things and stole the game back from me. And Kramer's just sitting there. He goes, I put my hand in my face and went, no, that's when he woke back up and started playing. I mean, the Kramer was the second. Okay, so game 2, I astrally project myself like you were, but I didn't go anywhere. You went and laid down. I keep partying. My mind leaves and goes, Brad, you're done, but my body keeps soldiering on. Eye of the tiger style.
No, I legitimately went and sat on the toilet in that one Du Bois and went, where is my life going?
I played Kramer in round 2, which I definitely did not win. I was convinced I could have because I was going to table Kramer. By the way, I left for a while. I come back and I start shooting my Kramer's models at other of Kramer. By the way, we're not playing the same army. I'm playing Elder. He's playing Grey Knights. I'm taking strike squads and I'm shooting at his other strike squads. And Kramer, to humor me, is taking dice and just basically throwing them in the air and going, I made all my saves, Brad. And I'm like, damn. And then I would go to the next unit of his and I would shoot at his other unit. And he would just pick dice up and throw it in the air and go, made all my saves. I also have one of my units that I meant to actually bring on the board, like legally, where I can bring it, but I just put it in his backfield, and then he just took all of his models and killed all of them. And just looked at me and went, well, I guess I take this. And I'm like, man, I guess you got this. Like, tactical brilliance of me. I can't believe me shooting his models with his own models didn't work. That's brains right there. That's next level playing, guys. Next level.
You mean like round 3 of Du Bois this year where you went, oh, I killed your knight. Let me pick your knight up. But Brad, you shot my knight at your knight.
Well, the better part was when I was explaining my game. You're like, Brad, you put in the score that says you got max. I'm like, yeah, of course, Brian. What I did was it was a really advantageous mission for me. I literally take banners, I do bring it down, and I do mental interrogation. There's nothing really you can do to stop that. Any other mission would have been a lot different, but this particular mission, I have such an advantage on it. It's almost an auto 100. And you go, cool, you didn't take any of those. You asked your people sitting next to you what they would take on secondaries, and maybe they should roll the dice for the secondaries. And I go, ooh, you should probably tell him he wanted, and you go, paused and went, I already did. And I go, all right, I accept this fate. In my mind, I had lots of excellent plays I made. All right, for next week, everyone, we're going to start doing this proper. I'm going to add out, this is just our kind of intro into hanging out on Thursdays. I'm going to make a channel for this. When I say I'm going to make a channel, I'm going to have somebody else make a channel in the Death or Glory Discord for just shit you guys want to talk about on Thursdays. And we'll have backgrounds and nonsense and little video clips and whatever else the hell else I find for whatever the topic is you guys want to talk about. So, but I just need to know. Text me, message me, put it in the Discord. Have somebody that's an adult, knows how to work technology, have them tell me what you put, and we will chat about it. Best stream of the week, hands down. Thank you.
One of the things I actually think we are going to 100% talk about next week is your favorite wine.
Oh, yeah.
I think that needs to be discussed because Number one, as someone who gets given McKellen 12 on many occasions, and to the point of where I went at Du Bois, geez, I have way too much. Not by the end of the weekend, but at the start of the weekend. We need to know what your favorite wine is. And that needs to be a discussion of why it's your favorite wine, what the reason is it's your favorite wine.
Oh, 100%.
It's one of those things that we need to know.
I can do all of these things. I can make this happen. Also, I just sent Andy a invitation to the DOG. I don't know how to put links in because, well, I don't know. I'll get you to market this channel properly eventually. This literally was hey, Brian, you want to talk on Thursday? I just want to hang out, and we'll push it basically past the holidays and figure out everything that we need to do to make it look not like terrible. And I said, we can just basically treat December as the practice for going telling. Please tell people about stuff. I would love to have more people chat. I want to make Thursday just literally talking about my favorite wine next week. What we will definitely do and why. I will give a history of my wine journey.
Yeah, and I will talk about my favorite scotch and why it's my favorite scotch, because this Thursday night is legitimately supposed to be us talking about whatever. And although we may talk about 40K intermittently here and there, it's going to be us just enjoying our lives, because as two of the elder statesmen of 40K, I think that's fair to say.
It is 100% fair to say.
We enjoy spending time with our colleagues, our people, each other, and we want to interview random Joe. You know, if you go to RTT A-B and that's all you ever do, we want to talk to you. We
100%.
want to hang out with you and enjoy life and talk about the lore and why you take care of me or what you take care of me, because this is supposed to be fun.
100%. If you have a camera and you have a microphone, you can hang out with us on Thursdays. I have 2 spots, as a matter of fact, on my screen for whoever would like to. I have to actually click them off, to be honest. Yeah. Hold, please. I will show you what other frames I usually have. Blink, blink. So
it's like Paul Lell, who's been in the chat all night. Steve Zuber, who's been in the chat most of the night. I want to have you guys on. I want you to talk.
We want dumb stories. The worse you can make yourself look in a story, the better for us.
Absolutely, because 40K is a game, and we have fun with it, and we're enjoying it. And Brad and I have been playing for 30-ish years around the game, and we're here for you guys. Although we are, I'm a judge de jour, let's call. I am a judge, and Brad is a top-tier player. We are here 100% to have fun, enjoy life, and enjoy our community. That's 100% what we're here for. So if you want to be on the podcast, you want to be live with us, tell us. We will bring you on. It's absolutely about having fun and enjoying our community.
You are an expert on being you. There you go.
Absolutely. And an expert on having many, many moonshines.
I love everything about it. Everyone, until next time, as usual, party on.